Welcome back to the Advanced Selling Podcast, the longest running sales training podcast history. I'm Bill Caskey.
Bryan Neal here.
And we love you guys. We are so appreciative of all the LinkedIn, the comments, the emails we get. It's an awesome group of people who listen to this. And if you are fairly new at this and you're a virgin, so to speak, on the ASP at least, we would encourage you to go to advancedsellingpodcast.com. There's a place there you can download or sample some of the top 10, 15 episodes that we've done over the past 1,000 years. And we love having you. And also, if you have not joined us on the LinkedIn group, make sure you go there. Let's see, it's advancedsellingpodcast.com/LinkedIn, or just go on LinkedIn and look for Advanced Selling Podcast Group. Bryan.
Home office today. I'm in my home office, not in my studio. You know why, don't you, Bill?
I do not.
Why I'm in my home office and not in my home studio? Well, I'm avoiding traffic.
Something to do with the eclipse?
Well, I'm avoiding the traffic because we record. Our home base is in Indianapolis, Indiana, which, as you know, is in the path of totality.
Yeah.
It's the path of totality. Today's eclipse day, and there's, as the United States is so aptly let us know over the past 14 or 15 months. Today's eclipse day. So we are in the path of totality. It's really pretty outside, actually. It's going to be a really fun day. And I'm a science geek. I love things like this, and I'm kind of done. I'm ready for it to be over. I'm ready for
kind of done? It hasn't even happened yet.
No, but that's the thing. I'm ready for people to stop using the word totality. It sounds bad to me. Like you're in the path of totality sounds like destruction.
I've never heard it. I've never heard that.
The path of totality?
No, I've never. I mean,
you literally have not heard the path of totality over the past 4 months. Every 10 minutes, you have not.
I've heard.
We listen
maybe
to.
I'm just not.
Oh my gosh! Good, then God bless you. See, everyone listening is on my side. I guarantee it.
Yeah,
you're lucky that you've been immune to this. It's local news everywhere. Like just Google path of totality. Essentially, what it means is what it says, that the sun will basically be totally blocked by the moon.
Yeah.
But the phrase, to me, path of totality sounds very
ominous. It sounds ominous.
Sounds like bad things are going to happen.
Yeah.
And then I heard my stepson saying it. He's 13. I'm like, that's, if the kids are saying it, we've gone too far.
Yeah.
We're, well, and then the totality lasts, I think it's going to be 4 minutes and 4 seconds. He and his buddy were debating yesterday.
Is it 3 o'clock Eastern?
Something like that. Yeah. Like 3:04, 3. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's really cool. It's really fun. Go sit outside and watch it. And then it's also funny because then you'd be like 400,000 people come and they sit down. And then for about 6 minutes, it gets dark. And you're like, oh, my God, it's dark. It's dark. You're like,
well,
oh, my God, it's dark.
The thing I can't figure out, and then since it's already happened, we'll move on to the topic. But the thing I can't figure out is there's a whole lot of drama around where to watch it, but you can't watch it. So
totally.
There's a whole lot of, well, you got to go to the island here. What about here? And so I get there and I'm looking up and people are like, oh, no, you can't watch it. Well, what the hell am I doing here?
Well,
and place.
Careful with this because I know you've had some eye issues. There are about, I would guess, 4 to 8 people out of 10 who are going to take a peek. They're like, can you really? Can you really not watch it? I'm going to go ahead and just glance up there anyway without my glasses on.
Without your glasses.
I know they're all saying you can't watch it, but I'm just going to take a peek. I mean, surely it's not going to do that much damage to me.
Well, the way I look at these things, it's like when someone says, "Oh, you can't let your kids, walk to the school because it's a block away," and I always say. Yeah. Okay. Have there been a lot of kidnappings in this area in the last 20 years? No, but you just never know. Well, the odds are they're going to be fine.
That's what I wonder. Now there might be. I got to be careful with this kind of stuff. But I'd like to meet the people. Like, so what happened? Well,
exactly. Remember
the last eclipse? I was, I took the glasses off and I looked. I shouldn't have looked. They told me not to look, and I looked, and now here's where I am. So anyway.
Well, maybe some of my issues are because I looked at.
I don't know. Maybe the eclipse. So, really cool, fun times, and glad it'll be over when this episode releases. So, I thought, what could be an eclipse topic? And here's my topic: unplanned. Bill has no idea what the topic's going to be. Salespeople tend to be optimistic by nature, don't we?
Mhm.
We tend to be positive, sunshine oriented. And then here comes the moon. Here comes the darkness over the sunshine. And we don't like it. We want to move the darkness away as quick as we can. That's like the eclipse. We move. And so we want the eclipse to end. We want the moon to. So this is like, think about the idea of objections or resistance in the way. Think of that being the moon in front of the sunshine. We want it to be all warm and fuzzy and great.
Yeah.
And it got me thinking about what's the best way to approach negativity in the sales process for salespeople? Because I think there's a real issue with this. I think salespeople are there's almost this would be a little heavy, like an epidemic of optimism in selling. People are overly optimistic in selling, and I think it does us more harm than good. And not only in how we approach customers, but also how we handle resistance with customers. We handle them in an optimistic, forward, positive way. Oh, yeah, we can do that. Here's how we overcome that. Here's how we fix it. Let's get to the sunshine. Let's get to the good. And I'd love to get your take on that.
So everything that we do, this is what I'm interpreting here. Everything that we do comes through the filter or the prism of optimism, whether it's handling objections or whether it's taking an order or whether it's going out on a dinner cruise with a client. We're always in that optimistic state. And your feeling is sometimes that's not the state to be in. Absolutely. I had what prompted this a bit, other than the eclipse that I've been planning for. Yeah, that's a stretch, but go on.
Since 79, since the last one, since October of 79.
A great topic for a podcast.
Since fourth grade.
There is such a thing.
Yeah, in fourth grade, writing notes down. Like, this is gonna be a great podcast topic when I'm 54.
Your friends are like, huh? What? What are
you talking about? My grandpa's 54. We were working on a pricing deal with one of my clients, and it was so interesting to see the room separate. The situation was basically a competitor was, I can't do good math here. It was a 2.5x difference. Anyway, my client's competitor was 2.5x less than my client.
Yeah.
Point is, aside from something we're like majorly missing, we tap out. You move on. You can't touch that deal. You know what I mean? Like if we're at $1 million and my competitor's at 330, I'm out. I mean, unless there's like, I double check real quick. Like, are we sure we're like apples to apples here? Which we're out. But half the room wanted to stay in. Like, well, let's demonstrate value. And I'm like, no. So I'm like, dang, these people, like, what are you doing here? So thoughts on that?
Yeah.
I think it was the optimism thing. Let's try to get it. Let's make it good. And I'm like, no.
Or you hear we may not get this time, but we'll build relationships for the next time.
Right.
Which
I think you build a relationship by leaving. It's not negative.
I don't think doing you a favor by exiting the process.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And good. And I'm also like good on the competitor to be able to figure that out, and I don't know their math, but good for them. I'm like, okay.
Oh, they got to be losing money. That's the way mine.
100%.
They're buying the business. They'll
run themselves out of business. We want them to have that one. Yeah.
Right. I like the topic, and I'm wondering sometimes if we're not looking accurately and realistically about these things, because we think that these things are not in our favor. We've heard the saying before that kites rise against the wind, not with the wind. And when there is an objection, let's take other than just what you're talking about here, this 2.5 times. But when there is an objection, we see that as a negative, and really the objection is a chance for us to rise and to get, maybe the objection is a favor they're doing for us to help us get better at the sales process or the communication of the value. So if we look at it as a lesson and say, oh, you know what? They're objecting to our terms. Okay, let's look at those. Let's not negotiate. Let's just look at what can we learn from that.
Yes.
And I don't think we do that enough. I think we see them as things to knock down, objections as things to knock down, move around, navigate around, overcome. I mean, just think of all the terms that we use.
Yes.
And I'm not opposed to navigating around them, but sometimes there might be a lesson in there.
See, that's really great. And how many times have customers taught us things like that? The people, a lot of us deal with sophisticated customers who have just very good general business acumen that can apply to any company or any business or system, and look at our companies that we're working with. Said, hey, have you guys ever thought about delivering your product this way, or delivering this thing, or doing your product pricing terms that way? And instead of me just going like, no, this is what we do it, and here's why you should buy it this way, going to your point, like, that's interesting. What do you talk to me about that? What do you see in there? Yeah, right. Almost I'm getting free consulting back from my prospective client.
Yeah.
And it feels really, I think the thing that, and I love what you said about the, and you didn't say this way, but what it felt to me was it felt collaborative. And that's part of the other element of this, I think, that gets missing is there's this tit for tat ping pong. We go back and forth. It doesn't feel like we're working with someone. If there is some negativity, if the moon is in front of the sun, see, I'm going to keep going back to that eclipse thing.
You are.
The moon is in front of the sun. It's not, visualize this. They're pushing the moon in front of the sun, and I'm pushing it back out of the way. And we're both pressing on it back and forth. It's not that. We're moving it together. We're on both sides of it either way. Because we added a step in our process at Blind Zebra. We actually just added a couple months ago a step in the process called yellow flags on purpose, where we come with a list of potential things to get in the way of an engagement, and so does the customer. It's actually called yellow flags, football stuff, but and it just makes it so easy then. And everyone just talks about, do we have the capacity to implement a program right now, whatever the case is.
Yeah. And, I hear a lot about the challenger sale, challenger selling, and I'm not really all that equipped to comment on it, but I feel like, well, if we're going to bring up stuff that's uncomfortable, that's what we should be bringing up, or the yellow flags that happen in a deal. And we know what they are. It's, Bill, but we can't ask. How do you ask that? Come on, you've been in business 6 months. You know what the hell they are. You know what the yellow flags are. And so rather than waiting for them to bring them up, why aren't we preemptive? We've been talking about that for years. Preemptive problem solving, preemptive strategy of bringing up the objection. You bring it up so they don't have to. You're doing them a favor. And when you bring it up, they feel like, oh, okay, well, this dude, is being unbiased with me. He's being honest with me. And you are.
Yeah, we have that. One of our guiding principles is objectivity. And I'll use the phrase down. I use this dorky phrase now that I drive it. Do you know I drive a stick shift again? Did I tell you that? That I bought a car that's a manual transmission.
Oh, cool.
New one. And so I downshift into emotionally neutral. I teach my clients that. Downshift into emotionally neutral. So then I'm just objective about this. Then I'm not worried about it. It's just a thing, just a problem to solve with my customer or my client. That's all I'm thinking about. And I agree. I think back to what we talk about a lot on this podcast is my intention. You have a duty to share with someone.
Yeah.
So here's an example. If you're going into a new client, Bill, and obviously clients spend money to work with you. The second thing they spend though is time. And that's a thing. And so you have to say, is this a good time to do this? Are there other priorities in the business? Are they doing a new product launch? If they're doing a new product launch, this may be a bad time to do a program. So just talk about it. And if it is, we'll just wait until the fourth quarter to do it. Does it make sense to do that? It's just reasonable.
That's a bridge that's a bridge pretty far though for people to
I know, it is.
because we're all driven by the monthlies and the quarterly numbers and the indicators, and we're looking for our pipeline. Everything in our structure won't allow us to do what you just did. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I think you're exactly right. I teach my clients that too, but there's a lot of opposing forces there that are occurring, which are, we got to make the numbers this month. Our stockholders are waiting for this. Yeah, I know the customer should wait, but let's pressure them. Let's force them to buy by giving them a discount, reducing our margin. Let's get it in the door. I mean, that happens all the time.
Yeah. And you know what I think happens from there? They don't buy with the discount, and then we turn them off so much, they also don't buy in the fourth quarter, which they would have. And the fourth quarter gets here in a snap. That's the other thing people forget. I wouldn't want nothing more right now sitting here on April the 8th. I should know that because it's Eclipse Day. April the 8th. I would want nothing more than someone saying, we want to commit to this for the fourth quarter. I'll take a fourth quarter deal today all day long. Because you know how many people are going to be chasing deals in the fourth quarter? And they're like, God, I wish you would have had one of these closed in April.
Yeah.
Everybody, drives me nuts.
But if you are unbiased and don't really care when they start or when they start to solve their problem, it allows for a much cleaner, clearer communication. There's not a lot of drama around it. It's not like you're trying to push them, like you said, away from the sun. They're trying to pull you up. There's none of that. You get out of that. And that's a more joyful process. But yet, I'm just telling, I mean, you know this, there's a lot of forces that say, well, that's not going to work for us in our business. And I won't work. There's certain companies, in fact, I had to give this, had to fire a prospect before they even became a client because they were bugging the hell out of me about, how many hours is this going to take? And I'm like, well, you got a $4 million problem. What difference does it make how many frickin' hours it's going to take? What if it takes 100 hours? Well, we can't not spend 100 hours for $4 million. All right. $400,000 an hour or whatever the numbers are. No? Okay. Then you're not a prospect for me. And they agree. And they said, okay, good. Goodbye. That's it. But for every one like that, there's 2 or 3 others that say, well, no, this is a big problem. We are willing to commit the time. But if you're not, like you said, it's time and money. There's one of 2 resource buckets. It's either time or money.
Yes.
And if you don't have the time, then you're not going to trade. You got to trade time for money. And if you're not willing to trade the time, then you won't get the money.
And no sales leader wants me to follow their sales team around with a GoPro camera for a week and play the tape back in front of them. No sales leader wants me to do that. I promise. And then have that sales leader tell you that my sales team doesn't have time to work with you, Bill Caskey. No,
that's right. That's right.
Whoever that person is, have them call me. I'll freaking follow their sales team around. That we didn't have time to work with Bill Caskey because we got, we don't have
an hour a week.
I'll show you
2 hours a week.
Yeah. Busy sales team. That's good quality selling time. 4-hour lunch on Friday, 10 to 2. God. Anyway, people have their head in the sand. So I think they do. So I think the lesson here for you listeners is to just think about your approach energetically first to optimism here. And when you're feeling these resistance points, downshift into emotionally neutral, and think about these things as objective elements. And I love what Bill said. These are gifts from our clients. Negative, what we have perceived in the past to be negative things are really gifts. They really are. They can teach us something. They can keep us from getting a bad deal. And we need to be unafraid of them. Unafraid, like we were unafraid of the eclipse. The sun will come out on the other side. We trust. I'm not a big fan of reframing things to move away from the truth, but an objection might just be reframed as a question. Yeah. And instead of hearing it as a stall, remember we used to talk about stalls and objections. Stall. I don't want to do this right now, and I object to you, Bryan Neal. I object to what you've said. I object to your. Maybe we just reposition them. These are just questions. It's Q&A. All of selling is just a Q&A. One big freaking Q&A session. You've got questions for me. I've got questions for you. I'm questioning you as to what your problems are, what you're trying to accomplish, what your vision is. You're questioning me. Is this really worth it? Is this the right time? Just a Q&A session. Totally. 100%. It's funny.
Before we close, can I promote the book? We went back. I think we talked about this a couple of times, but go to 12boldmoves.com. I took some of the insider content from 2023, created a booklet for it. It's a 35-page book. There's a little fee to it. It's an ebook, but go to 12boldmovesbook.com, or I think it's in the show notes, and you'll get access to it. It's really good. I had a lot of really positive comments on it, so thank you.
That's awesome. Be lucky. Okay. See you next time. All Eclipse down. Cheers.
Yeah. Bye. No more Eclipse talk. Bye.